Welcome back to This Is Why We Watch Movies. I'm Brian.
And I'm Landon.
And today we have another fantastic episode for you. First of all, we want to, again, acknowledge for people who may not have seen the TikTok clip, big thank you to @Star Wars for the swag pack.
Yeah, shout out to
and the chocolate. That's like full circle for our show, honestly.
Yeah. I actually brought the bandana with me, and I was going to wear it during the episode, but I just totally forgot. I'm not going to do it now.
You could tuck it in like an ascot or something.
That's true. Hold on.
You can do that while I pull this out. It's that time of year. I have something for you.
Anyway, yeah, this was sent to us in case you didn't see. This is super cool.
But it is very cool. And this is even cooler.
I'm going to set this over here. Oh, my word. It is the iconic. This is what? Is this, how many years has this been now?
This is number 4.
This is year 4 of the Christmas card.
My intention is to do one for every year of the 2020s, but it just be a selfie.
Yeah, always. They're always fun, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. It's exciting.
You're welcome. You didn't even say thank you this year.
Thank
wow.
you. Thank you, you know.
Well, on the note of Star Wars chocolate, I think that we're going to stay in that vein.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about this premiere of the new show, Skeleton Crew. So the first 2 episodes came out, was that Monday? But we thought it was still on Tuesday because it's supposed to come out Tuesdays. So we watched it a day late, but we have some thoughts, and we're going to share it with you as the review of the day.
Yeah, it's exciting. So the synopsis of the show in general, this is not like per episode synopsis. 4 kids make a mysterious discovery on their home planet that leads them to get lost in a strange and dangerous galaxy.
In a strange and dangerous galaxy?
Yes.
Interesting. So where to begin with this?
Yeah, where to begin?
I really like the premise. I like the characters a lot. It's a very eclectic cast of youths. The youths.
Yeah.
Specifically, their names are Wim, Fern, KB, and Neil. I think anyone that's watched the show, if Neil's not your favorite, I just don't know what specifically is wrong with you.
Well, you know, I could see people I could see people finding him slightly annoying.
That means they'd find me annoying in real life.
Well, you're not everybody's cup of tea, you know? That's just how things go.
To love me is to know me. What do you mean?
I guess. I don't know.
But no, I really love the characters. I think that, like, they give the energy of what I would have wanted the party and Stranger Things to be. I'm not a big Stranger Things fan, I should preface, so I'm not knocking it.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
just
an L
saying,
take. That's a total L take.
I'm just saying that, like, this is more my cup of tea than Stranger Things was.
Okay.
In terms of, like, the friend group.
Sure. Well, I think that technically right now, I wouldn't say that it's necessarily a friend group, more like
they're stuck together.
Two groups of 2 at this point that are stuck together. But no, I agree. I really enjoyed the characters and the camaraderie so far.
But you wrote down all the character names too?
Yeah, I was because I didn't want to forget them. But yeah, I think that like even their like butting heads at this point, I'm having a lot of fun with that still. So yeah, I'm very excited. Yeah, I felt like the first episode did a very good job like establishing characters. And draws you into the adventure that you're about to go on. It sets you up for something interesting. And I liked their planet that they were on.
Yeah.
And I think it makes more sense kind of the way it looks now when you look at what happens in the second episode and the real reveal you kind of have for what At-Ata is.
Right.
Like the look of it makes a lot more sense now. I didn't mind it at first, but now I'm like, oh, okay, I see what they were doing. That's cool.
Right. So I was going to say that, like, it feels a lot like a SoCal suburb initially. And that's, like, it felt a lot like the neighborhood in E.T. or something. Like, it's very vibed after that.
Yeah.
And visually, it goes along with that. But that never took away from it for me. I did write down, and I think I said this during the episode, the set design for At-Ata felt much more like something from one of the Paramount Plus Star Trek shows than it did from a Star Wars project. And that's totally fine. You're going to have overlap on those sorts of things. It's just like, it feels new to Star Wars, but it's not new feeling in that sense, because like you could get the same vibe kind of from Star Trek. But this is Star Wars, y'all.
I think it's all good.
It's all good.
Yeah. So yeah, what again,
I love the tone. I'm gonna just say that.
Yeah, totally.
It's
Great.
it's like really tender. It's wholesome. These characters, like, captures that childhood essence that Spielberg movies generally do. And obviously, he's not directly involved with this, but it has that. And I think I read a review or a tweet that was like, Star Wars has always been about yearning back for your childhood wonder, and this is the first time we're really seeing childhood wonder in Star Wars. And so it's kind of interesting. Like, obviously you have Anakin Skywalker in episode 1. I would not say he has child wonder because he's a slave.
Yes.
So it's kind of like he's dispositioned against having a good time.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's like you get to see kids who are like, infantilized with like, with Jedis and like the stories that they've been told, even to the point where they're like pretending to be them, which I think we've all, in our lives have all at some point done this and pretended to have a lightsaber fight, even if you're not holding one.
There's a very Jon Wass directing moment that's like the introduction of Neil and Wim's friendship, and they start having a duel with like flashlight handles essentially.
Yeah.
And then the bus comes up and everyone's like, what are you doing? And it was awesome because I know that's something I've definitely done.
It felt that one specifically felt very like Peter and Ned.
Yeah.
Like it was like, oh, okay, I can see where we're at here.
So, but yeah, like, and I said this too, the tone of the film or of the movie, it's not a movie. I keep wanting to call it a film. It feels like a mini series and not like a TV show.
Yeah.
The tone of this feels much more like the parts of Spider-Man Homecoming that dealt with Homecoming and like Peter wanting to ask Liz out. Yeah. But it doesn't really feel like action-y up to this point. There was some action in the second episode, but I think you have that first episode which like introduces you to the characters and it feels kind of safe up until the end. But then episode 2 really starts with the questions, with the mystery boxes. Why is this happening? And why is something off about what's happening? Yep. And the planet that they go to, or spaceport, feels like nowhere in Guardians of the Galaxy. I really enjoyed like that spaceport feel as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say the whole pirate aesthetic of the show, I'm really vibing with. Like I love pirate stuff in general, so like I'm totally on board with like fully leaning into like space pirates and having the aesthetic of like what we would know as like our pirates. I think that's a lot of fun, and yeah, going to the port, it's literally like going to like some random port in any kind of pirate TV show. It's a little,
it's like Tortuga.
Yeah, literally, it's a lot of fun, and I'm really loving it. And yeah, the episode 2 keeps the momentum rolling, and just kind of like sets the stakes for what we're going to be heading towards now, and like sets up a whole bunch of questions that I'm very curious to get the answer to at some point.
Yeah, and I think like one thing, the second episode is the introduction. The ending is the introduction of Jude Law's character. He appears in the jail cell with the children and is like, I can use the Force, and it's crazy. They're like, you're a Jedi, and then they just left us. So we'll have to come back next week to see what comes of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was like moving into not cons, but just overall other vibes away from like, wow, this is so much fun. I do think that there's like kind of a fake out happening with Jude Law, and I'm not sure what it is. But the entire series opened with like the pirates raiding a ship, and the lead pirate sounds a lot like Jude Law.
Yeah.
Like, not just a lot. I'm pretty sure it was Jude Law. But he's wearing a helmet, and the helmet's shaped like a pirate hat.
Yeah, I guess it's like, just because he's a Force user doesn't mean he can't be a pirate. I don't know what exactly. Yeah, I'm not sure what their angle is with this yet.
Right. Well, I checked on the like the credits list, and there's actually no one credited for the character that the pirate was named, which I think was like Servio or something.
Interesting.
So, or maybe Servo. Don't quote me on that, internet. But the lead pirate doesn't have like a casting, and that's why I'm now pretty confident that was Jude Law. Previously, I was like, maybe it's someone that sounds like Jude Law.
Yeah.
Then you have to ask yourself, does anyone really sound like Jude Law?
Does Jude Law sound like Jude Law?
It depends on the movie.
Exactly.
So I don't know.
Yeah. No, it's weird. Let's see. What was I going to say? So we're kind of moving into like...
I guess some negative stuff, but I still just overall thoughts. Like, I've moved through everything that I really liked about it, but there's more.
Yeah, I think that like for me, it's like I'm fully bought into Wim and Neil and their dynamic.
Yeah.
Whereas like Wim is like ready for an adventure and is not satisfied with the world that he lives in, and then you have Neil who is like fully
We gotta
satisfied.
study. What do you mean?
Exactly, fully satisfied with where he is, and is kind of dragged on this mission, not by his own free will, just kind of like his friend kind of tricks him, and not necessarily tricks, but like pressures him into going with him and doing this thing, and he's like, "Well, we get in trouble." Well, no, you won't get in trouble, and then they proceed to leave the planet.
It's like that time that I was like, you want to go record a podcast about the Oscar nominations?
Yeah. And then Fern and KB, I'm not fully convinced on these two yet, and that's just because we haven't got much from them.
I agree.
I like them as characters so far. I'm just not sold on them to like their dynamic quite yet.
It feels very much so like almost like a Mean Girls situation where KB might just be trying to fit in with Fern, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'm excited to see
Like
what
Fern
they
is
do.
like Regina,
I don't know about that. Maybe a little bit.
just a little.
But
The
I think
Star
it's-
Wars Regina.
I don't know. I don't think I'm bought in on that one, but
I just made that up now, so I don't trust me, guys. I don't know.
yeah. But no, I like all four of the characters. I'm just I would like to see more of those two moving forward to kind of get more into, their backstory and stuff. We got a little bit into Fern's backstory with her mother, finding out who her mother was.
Yeah.
And then, but yeah, we don't know much about her other than that.
How do you feel about SM-33? That is the skeleton robot.
I liked him. It was fun.
Yeah. I thought it's a very fun character.
I would like to, hopefully we get to see more.
I would hope so. I mean, the thing is like, so Nick Frost is finally in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Simon Pegg has been in Star Wars for about 10 years now with Unkar Plutt.
Yep.
I feel like he played someone else as well. But, it's a shame that we'll never see them together in Star Wars, but at least Nick Frost is here now.
Well, never say never. There could be something where, because both of them are, they could do something.
Simon Pegg could still appear as an actual character. That's true. And David Tennant's in Star Wars, and we all just forgot about it.
Oh, he played
He's a robot.
yeah, he played a robot in
Excuse me, a droid. Get it right.
yeah, but what was he in? Now I'm
Ahsoka.
blanking.
He was the Jedi Temple droid.
Oh, that's
on
right.
her ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember the character name, but he was there. I'm like, I just called it David Tennant the whole time. Something that I think was really great about the first episode is that it feels like a Jon Watts film. In terms of tone, in terms of the characters, the humor as well, the blocking, the things that we talked about with Wolf that really worked here as well. In
Yeah.
terms of like, he's so good at visual blocking. And I think that like, this is kind of a return to form after Wolves because that one was just so and this one feels like vibrant again.
Yeah, I'm not like crazy about Jon Watts in general, but I do think that like this is definitely more the vibe that I enjoy from him.
Right.
He does have a good grasp on the coming of age, regardless of the other stuff about him that I do find some of his visual styling to be a little bit bland. In the Spider-Man stuff, I don't find it like as visually interesting as I do even like the Mark Webb ones.
I
But
agree.
specifically the Sam Raimi ones. I don't think he brings too much like flair, but what he does bring is he does bring a good heart to what he's doing.
Right, and I think the heart is kind of where Wolves got lost as well.
Yeah,
like,
for
and that's
sure.
what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. But on that note, I think that the second episode and also the third one are directed by David Lowery. We haven't seen
Yeah.
part three yet.
Well, this
But
is definitely not like a David Lowery
I was
thing.
going to say I wouldn't have been able to tell you this was a David Lowery production based
Yeah.
on that, and this one didn't really feel Jon Watts either.
No.
Like this one fell back into it's good. It's a good episode. It's a good story, good stuff happening, but it doesn't have that Jon Watts feel that the first part did, and it definitely didn't have a David Lowery part. And I don't know if that's a negative. That's just kind of a drawback of a TV show.
That's how TV shows work. Yeah. You're not going to be able to get. You're going to get more Jon Watts throughout because he's writing it.
Right. I'm curious to see how the Daniels episode goes.
That one's going to be fun. I
Yeah.
think because they're going to bring their sensibility and they're going to bring their fun to it, and I think it's going to be a really fun episode. So I'm excited for that one too. So yeah,
Yeah. Like the directing list on this is kind of crazy.
it's insane. Yeah, because they have, I think Lee Isaac Chung is doing one too, who just did Twisters, obviously.
Yeah, and then Bryce Dallas Howard has one.
Yeah, and everything she's done with Star Wars so far, I think her episodes have been really strong.
I concur. Yeah.
So yeah, really great directors they've attached to this show. So
It's interesting how within Star Wars, even though all the shows are a bit different tonally, I think that Bryce Dallas Howard has had a hand in most of them, with the exception of Obi-Wan.
yeah,
And it's kind of the same way over in the Star Trek sphere at Paramount, is that like there's a pool of directors that direct on all the shows at different points. And one of the main ones, of course, is I don't know why I can't remember his name, but he plays William Riker. It's like the main character on Jonathan something.
I can't remember.
I am a fake Trekkie. I know this guy's name. It's going to bother me. I'd ask you to Google it, but whatever. It's fine.
You want me to?
Yes, please. It's going to bother me. Yeah. I think another negative.
Which show would this be?
He's the main character on Next Generation. He plays William Riker.
Oh, okay. Jonathan Frakes.
Jonathan Frakes. Thank you. I knew it was Jonathan. Jonathan Frakes is one of the main directors for Star Trek TV episodes. Like, he rotates 2 or 3 out every season of whatever the show is. Anyways.
See, I assume we were talking about one of the new shows and they had like recast. I didn't realize that was like.
No, he still directs on it, and he also was in the Picard show. Anyways.
Oh, interesting. Oh, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. But like several episodes of Discovery. But what I'm saying is it's interesting that Lucasfilm has like a pool that they pull from as well, similar to that.
Yeah, the ones that work, you know?
Yeah.
Haven't seen Robert Rodriguez in a minute, though.
You know, his episode was not the best one of that season.
I think it's more just like the Book of Boba Fett. Kinda,
That's true.
You know.
I actually forgot about that show and was only referencing his episode of Mando.
Yeah, I mean, I liked his episode of Mando. I'm more just like, I didn't love Book of Boba Fett, but I'm a massive Robert Rodriguez fan, so I would like him to get another shot at something Star Wars to see what he would do.
Yeah.
That one just specifically didn't work for me, though, as I would have, as much as I would have liked.
I concur. I think that that's kind of like a stain on like not the legacy of Star Wars.
No.
That is dramatic. It's
That's
just kind of
very
like
dramatic, yeah.
It's a stain on The Mandalorian as a TV show, because like there's this whole half season that you have to go watch to understand the third season.
Yeah, they
So-
took a break from the story they were telling to go, help the Mandalorian get to the next season. So yeah,
Yeah, it's a whole thing. But no, I don't remember if I actually said this, so I'm sorry. But the episodes are way too short. And Skeleton Crew.
I put the same thing because
I'm tired of these 25-minute episodes, guys.
we have this conversation every time any sort of Disney Plus show drops. When it comes to Marvel, Star Wars, they're all too short. They're 8 episodes in a season, and they rush through the episodes. Like, as far as the timeline, like you could do 50 to an hour episodes, and we would all be happy.
I agree.
But for some reason, they've like put themselves in this weird box. I'm assuming that this is just what they're told to do, of like fitting it between like 35 to 42-ish minutes.
Yeah, but like the second episode was 35 with the credits, which means it was like 28, 29.
Yeah, which is crazy.
It's a bit short. I remember feeling very negatively about this during The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, because that show is pretty cool and it feels like it's building to something, and then the last episode is like 40 minutes, and that's the only time that we got to see Captain America in his full glory in that show.
Yeah, where it became Captain America and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Which I really like that show. I don't know if we've ever talked about that on here, but I was a fan.
No, I think that's one of the better Marvel shows that's come out.
That, and then I'm going to watch Hawkeye again this Christmas because it feels like a really good Christmas show.
Yeah, no, it's like Christmas vibes all
Yeah.
around. And those are, again, 2 examples of like, those are the really good Disney Plus
Yeah.
Marvel shows. And like, I don't know, something like, I'm trying to remember like She-Hulk has no rewatchability for me. Like, I'm just like, okay, I had fun with it while it was on.
Yeah, I didn't understand the hate necessarily. It's not something that I'm excited to go back and revisit again.
Yeah.
But I do think that, yeah, it's fun.
And I think that like, I hope that Skeleton Crew falls into the category of like, I want to revisit this Star Wars instead of it being, I don't want it to end up being like Book of Boba Fett, where I'm like, I just don't want to live that again.
Which right now I would say that it's on a good track.
It's on a great track. I
Yeah.
would say for myself, I've really enjoyed it. I think that it's like up there in the likes of like Andor and far above like Mando.
Yeah.
I'm like fine with Mandalorian. I don't like the third season at all. I think that was a travesty.
Well,
It's a stain on the history of. I'm just kidding. It's not that bad.
again, yeah.
It's the same problem with just really short episodes that like when we finally get to where we're going, I feel like we never actually left.
Fair.
Yeah.
Again, this is something that I've complained about since the beginning. Mando comes out the first season, and it's very much like episode of the week for a good portion of the season. It's like I don't mind episode of the week. Like
Yeah.
I love a good show that has an episode of the week sometimes. But
That's why WandaVision works so well for me.
But that really only works for me if like you have enough episodes to get to the story that you're going to tell.
Right.
Because to me, it seems like we'll get information and then it'll be nothing up until episode 6 or 7, and then we'll finally finish the story that we talked about here and then totally forgot about in the middle.
I agree with that. Mandalorian season 1 is 4 episodes. It's 1 to 7 and 8. Mm-hmm. The middle didn't happen,
Season 2 is kind of the same deal.
except they have that 5th episode. So it's like 1, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's a little better. And again, it's not like it's not bad. It's just for me personally, I find it a little bit frustrating with just how it flows.
They don't have enough episodes to do episode of the week, but
Right.
they have too many episodes to be a miniseries. It's like a weird spot to be in. Just give us a 13 episode season, guys.
Yeah.
Like I think that'll solve the issue.
Yeah, solve all our issues.
It worked for Andor, it'll work for you.
Yeah.
But no, I think this is just a really fun little Star Wars show, and I'm very excited. It just feels fresh within like where a lot of the Disney Plus things can feel like a very tired repeat of stuff we've already seen. So
Yeah, I agree.
the first 2 episodes for me are like an 8 out of 10 or 4 out of 5, depending on the scale you subscribe to.
I'd say 4 out of 5. It's a good place to sit.
Yeah. What predictions do you have for next week?
I don't know about predictions, more just like things I'm curious that I'm excited for moving forward.
Okay.
I'm excited to learn more about Ad Ada and how it became kind of this like Atlantis type myth almost. Because clearly it's real. We've been there.
Right.
But everyone else assumes that it's fake, and apparently there's some treasure there that we don't know about. So I'd be curious to see what that is too. That's something I'm excited looking forward to in the next episodes. Again, I want to learn more about KB because I feel like that is the one character of the main group that we don't really know anything about. And then I think that's really like the 2 main things that I'm looking for right now.
So I will say one thing that I noticed, and this kind of goes back into the lore from Jedi Survivor, but there is such a thing as like a planet that's shrouded by a barrier, and that's kind of a major plot point in Jedi Survivor. And I wonder if this is kind of the same thing where it's like hidden behind a constellation or something, similar to Exegol almost. So I am curious to see if that's what the situation is.
I assume that's what it is.
Also, they have Republic credits as though it's a normal thing, and they're talking about the Republic, which I think is a fake out too, because initially you would assume that they're talking about the New Republic, but
Correct.
they very clearly are not. And that's like the big question that episode 2 sets up is like, how long have they been disconnected from everything?
Exactly. Because they are still using the Old Republic credits.
Yeah.
And because that becomes a thing when they go to try to buy something, they're like,
How do you have these?
Yeah.
So I think that'll be interesting. And then finally, I was going to say there's a book series that it's probably kind of hard to find at this point, but it was called Galaxy of Fear. And it came out at some point in the 90s. It was one of those like children's novels based on Star Wars. But it was about I think it was a group of kids that traveled with their grandpa to like random planets and would encounter like cannibals or, random wizards. And it was cool.
yeah.
And it sometimes overlapped, but it was set between 4 and 5.
Interesting.
And I really enjoyed that as a child. And I feel like this has the potential to be very similar to that, especially now that you have Jude Law's character coming in.
Yeah, for sure.
So if you've not read that, check it out. Well, that's our thoughts on Skeleton Crew. I think now we have a segment about shot of the decade.
Yeah. So
like that?
On Twitter for the last week or two, it has become kind of a trend-ish kind of deal, I guess, where people have been posting their shots of the decade so far. It's been very interesting to see. I think some of them I agree with. Some of them I'm like, I'm not necessarily bought in on it either way. But I thought it'd be interesting for us to give a list of some of our favorite shots of the decade, to kind of put our 2 cents in on this topic that's been going on right now.
Well, I'm going to start off with some honorable mentions, just lightening them because I didn't choose a specific thing, and these are not in my top 5, but I think they're really fantastic. So, I think there's an above the from the ceiling shot of the Believe sign being put back together in like the second to last episode of Ted Lasso.
Okay.
Iconic. Really
right.
love that. I think when
We're going in different directions, I think.
we are these are my honorable mentions.
Yeah, I don't know.
When Mando and Grogu look into each other's eyes in episode 8 of The Mandalorian.
Okay.
I think that's something that sticks with me. And also when Luke carries him off, but I think more specifically, Pedro's eyes, they got me. And then like basically everything from The Holdovers. Those are my honorable mentions. The Holdovers was very immaculate.
Holdovers was immaculate, yeah.
But those are not my shots of the decade.
Okay.
I just really like those.
I only went with one honorable mention because I picked like 6-ish that I was going to go with for my list. Number 6 is the shot from The Fabelmans, where Sammy is shooting into the mirror while his family is arguing. Go back and watch this. It is absurd. It is absurd how good Spielberg still is at his age. And this is not the last time he's going to be mentioned either, because there's another one that I'm like, it is the epitome of like filmmaking.
I see.
This man he's a legend for a reason.
So yeah, I do think Landon's probably going to disagree with most of my list, and that's okay.
Oh boy.
I just think of this one as being really iconic. It is not the first shot of the film, but it's probably like the 4th or 5th one. The first extreme close-up shot of Neytiri coming out from behind the tree in Avatar: The Way of Water is super iconic in my mind. I think also because it just shows how far CGI characters have come in the last few years, and it looked amazing in IMAX. So that's my number 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't really have them as like listed.
I ranked them. Yeah.
Because I couldn't decide which one I wanted.
I'll
to
stop saying numbers then.
I'm going to go with Pablo Larraín and Spencer. They did a shot. You can see it here, obviously, but they can't. Where Kristen Stewart is playing Princess Diana, obviously, and it is a shot of her being like basically consumed by the entire estate that they're at right now. I think this like perfectly encapsulates what the rest of the film is to me, which is about her dealing with this isolation, being in this giant and beautiful place. And I know a lot of people will say like the dress shot in the movie is probably more iconic. That's true. It's more iconic. But for me, it's like, this is gorgeous. And I think it's kind of an underrated shot in the movie. And also, I just love that movie in general. I think it doesn't get enough credit.
Yeah, I still haven't seen it.
You really should. I really think you'd like it.
It sounds like it would be up my alley, but
Unless you hate Princess Diana.
Well, no.
That's great.
It's impossible.
Okay. Yeah.
I think. I don't know. Unless there's someone out there. Speaking of princes and princesses, my number 4 is right after Paul Atreides says, "May thy knife chip and shatter" to Fade Routha. We cut to a wide shot that shows both of them silhouetted against the sunset of Arrakis.
Yeah.
And I have to say, this is probably, in my opinion, the best shot from Dune 2. Like, there's a lot of great shots in that movie. This is the iconic one that stuck in my head.
That's a really good one. Yeah.
I think about it all the time.
That's a great one.
It's also like all the tension of the movie leads to this point. You have the background of Arrakis, but also the people in the foreground that are watching them. And it's like the battle of the future is happening. And it's also kind of like narratively interesting because neither of them are particularly noble in their cause at this point.
Yeah, no.
So it's like, it's just such a tense moment.
It's a really good, that's a really good shot. I think that's a really good one to bring up. Let me see. Which one do I want to go with next? I'm going to go with Poor Things next.
Okay.
And I picked 2 from Poor Things, so I'm going to have to decide in the moment. I think I'm going to go with the opening.
Okay.
Where we first see who will become Bella Baxter, and she's jumping off the cliff. I just think that like this is a perfect setup for the movie, and especially how he's going to use color and how the sky is going to look. Also, I just think the scene in general is just absolutely like it's heartbreaking, and also it just gets you ready for what you're about to see for the next 2+ hours.
What does the color mean?
It means everything.
Okay.
I mean, it just looks good. That's what I mean by that. I don't
Yeah.
mean that he's like setting up like some kind of theme with the color. No, I'm just saying it looks good.
Okay. I can agree with that. I actually did like that shot.
Yeah,
I can admit that.
and when I say shot, I guess it's like there's stills, but also I mean like
The whole thing. I have one that very much so hinges on motion, and I'll get to that.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
My number 3 is the recurring shot of the leaves in Ava DuVernay's Origin, but specifically the last one that happens at the pool when she lays down with the kid.
Don't get. Oh my word! Yeah, that's so good.
Honestly, I should have moved that to number 1. Like that's like Origin has a couple flaws as a film,
Yeah,
but that shot has never left me.
yeah. I think that was like the thing. It's like when we came out of the movie, it was like, this is an issue for me. I think I don't necessarily see this. And this goes a little off course here, but both of us like had a reaction to that scene specific. Like both times that the motif of like leaves were used, it got me. It hit me right in the chest. Like it's so good, and that's such a really good choice. I didn't even think about that one.
I showed the film to my family over the summer, and they really enjoyed it. But also, I think that like I still got very emotional in that spot. It's a testament to the power of like utilizing space and recurring motifs like that.
Yeah.
I just think we don't give enough credit to DuVernay. Like she hasn't done a ton of stuff, but what she has done is really good, with the exception of A Wrinkle in Time. And even that was fine. It's just like kind of a Disney remake, trap situation.
Yeah, I agree. No, that was a really good choice. I didn't even think about that one. That's crazy. So my next one is a shot from a movie I just watched this week, and I forgot. Like I remember when this movie came out, this was a shot that I like thought about a lot, and then I don't know why I forgot, but then when it happened in the movie, I was like, because I got so excited about it again. It's a shot, and it's an extreme. I can't think of why is it escaping
Wide?
me? It's an extreme wide, yeah, for sure. Of the carnival in Nightmare Alley.
Okay.
And in the background, you can just see the storm coming in. And I don't know why, but this shot gets me every single time. It's just
Storm. What does it mean?
It's gorgeous. And I mean, the whole movie is also, people are sleeping on Nightmare Alley. I'm going to say that. This movie is absolutely stunning.
I don't think I've ever heard you talk about this movie.
Well, because the first time I watched it, I was like, I like this.
What year did it come out?
2021.
Okay, that explains
2020.
it. Yeah,
it
I
was
was
either 2021 or 2022.
I was busy, y'all. Sorry.
But I rewatched it this week, and it like blew me away because I was like, I liked it the first time, but I really loved it this time. It was very good. But that shot specifically, like,
yeah.
you know.
Well, my next one, you've already mentioned the film. It's from The Fabelmans.
Oh, nice.
But my shot choice is the last shot of the film, which is after he meets John Ford.
Yeah.
And he tells him that it's only interesting if you frame the horizon to the bottom or to the top.
Yeah.
But in the middle is not. And so the film, and then they kind of have like a talk about what it means if it's this way or that way. And kind of like the future is ahead of you if the horizon is framed for most of it and the land's at the bottom. So anyways, the film ends, he's walking out and the horizon's framed in the middle, and then it tilts down, but then it tilts back up at the last second. It's like the future's positive for Sammy. And I thought that was the coolest thing.
It's a really
good little tiny camera like joke, but like I love it. Thank you, Steven.
No, that was another one when I was thinking about the Fabelmans that I was like, this could also easily sneak into my list. So that one I think easily could have been an overlap if I didn't like the scene and the shot in the mirror more.
Yeah,
but
that's fair.
it wasn't even like a big difference. I just like it just slightly more. So I guess my next one, I gotta find it. is from Charlotte Wells' After Sun, and this was hard because I probably could have made an entire list of just shots from After Sun.
That's true. I've been using After Sun as like a springboard for the film we're working on. I've not seen it yet, but the shots are immaculate.
They are immaculate. Like, I mean, I think the ones that people talk about regularly, you've got the camcorder shot at the end. You've got the
spoilers, bro.
You don't know what that means. The TV shot that kind of opens the film. Like, there's so many really good options. But for me, the one that I always come back to is the shot where Callum is in the bathroom and they're divided by the wall. And you can see both characters there, and he's trying to, like, not break down as he's cutting his cast off. It captures exactly what the film is about. You don't need words. It shows you how much he's struggling, and he's trying to be brave for his daughter who's on the other side of the wall. So he's trying to hold in his emotions so he's not going to disturb her or, make her worry. Paul Mescal, it's one of his, like, best moments as an actor, I think, which is saying something because he's done a lot of really good stuff. But this shot in general, I think about regularly.
You said After Sun. I was thinking of Past Lives.
Past Lives is also great.
They have the same title in my head.
That's crazy.
Well, either way. Now I feel more confused because I'm talking about a movie I haven't even seen it nor have I looked at any of the shots. My bad on that. Oh yeah,
you got number one.
That's pretty good. My number one is a trailer shot. It's Hall H. This is a Comic-Con shot from Hall H. But not from the film you're thinking based on me saying that.
Okay.
Upside down, looking out the window of a flipped car.
Oh.
At a burning
I know where this
flame
is going.
as Batman is walking towards you in silhouette.
You
in the
could have
rain.
you could have 100%. That one I almost did put on my list. Why is okay?
I think that is perhaps in my opinion, the best shot from a superhero film this decade.
I agree.
It's the most iconic shot from that movie, which is saying something as Greg Fraser does amazing work on that. But it's like, I don't know. I can't think of anything else that sums up the feeling of the Batman more than that.
Yeah, well, that whole, like, again, that movie's got the sauce. So, like,
yeah,
again, that's probably one where you could find plenty of options.
I also was thinking, like, in between Greg Fraser, because I have issues with the creator, but I think that the creator also had some really wonderful cinematography in it.
Yeah.
But we're sticking with the Batman, which I guess Greg is also on here for Paul V. Fade, but, like,
yeah,
whatever.
Greg Fraser's got the sauce.
He does.
That.
He's the sauce.
My last one, and I would probably say this is my favorite shot of the decade. I watched this scene on YouTube probably an unhealthy amount. It is the first scene where they're going to the dance. Not the first scene, but like the scene where they're going to the dance in West Side Story.
Sure.
And
the remake.
In the remake, Steven Spielberg, once again, doing his thing. And the camera's like floating with him through the hallway, and then it gets into the gymnasium, and it floats above them and through the crowd, and it ends on these like crazy dance number. But to me, it's like, it's a perfect shot. Yeah. And I think that, like, anybody who's like, I've not seen Wicked, so I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm going to do it anyway. I think if you're looking at how to direct a musical, don't look at Wicked. Look at what Steven Spielberg did with West Side Story. It is perfect.
I mean, if you're looking at how to direct a musical, look at Baby Driver.
That too. Yeah. That's also a really good way to look at it. But I think that West Side Story is probably the most underrated film of this decade so far.
I think it's ironic that I brought it up. I did this intentionally because Ansel Elgort is between both, and I think that Ansel being in West Side Story tanked it.
I think so too.
Which is, I won't say that is sad. It's sad in the sense that the movie's been tanked. It's a shame in the sense that he is like actually a relatively talented actor. I think I've liked everything I've seen him in.
Yeah.
But like, come on, bro. Like,
right. No,
like there's a reason he's been canceled, but
yeah, that's 100% what it is. But to me, it's like, it's so sad because the film deserved to get all the love, and I don't feel like it got what it deserved.
I can't remember if I ever watched it a second time. I think I watched it with you, and then I watched it with my family.
Yeah. I again, West Side Story is one of those that like I think this movie I could watch once a week and never get tired of it.
Why have we not watched it together then?
I don't know. I think we should.
We should.
I have the 4K. I'm just waiting to like break into that. So
Interesting. Do you remember the lady behind us that was wailing?
I do.
Last week we talked about movie theater etiquette. During the credits of West Side Story, I took a slight video of my face because there was a lady behind us wailing. This was after the credits rolled.
Lights were up.
Lights were up.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, man. If you're going into West Side Story and you don't know what happened at this point, especially if you're like over 40,
Yeah.
that's on you.
A little bit. Yeah.
But yeah, they just had, I think, had never seen or knew what was happening, and they had a very strong reaction to it, which was extremely funny for me. But
yeah, I mean, to be fair, I had my own like little reaction to it.
the original West Side Story is like historically been one of my favorite movies. If you asked me my top 4 when we met, it would have been Blade Runner, Empire Strikes Back, West Side Story, and Nacho Libre.
Interesting.
Yeah, which all those still make sense for me. But the new West Side Story is a rare case where I would say it might be better than the original film.
I don't think there's a question for me.
Like,
And it's not that I think the first one is bad. I just think this is another level.
right. For me, it's the reason I say it might be is because I feel like they're very different films. They approach
are.
the subject matter
are.
differently.
Yeah.
It's not like when what's his face Gus Van Sant remade Psycho. It's like exactly
Yeah.
the same. Like it's different. They change narrative beats. They change the shot types. Steven does his own thing with it, and so it feels much more like not a companion piece, but like a whole new experience. Like when you go see the show with a new cast, it brings out something else.
Yeah. Also, Rachel Zegler is so good in this.
That's so
Ariana
true.
DeBose, she did win the Academy Award. She's very, very, very good in this.
Rita Moreno,
Yeah, obviously
she's back.
She's back. Yeah. So the cast is incredible. The filmmaking is incredible. Obviously, the music still holds up. I think this movie, people should really give this another chance if they don't remember much about it when they watch it the first time. Give it another chance. I promise you it'll blow you away.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah.
Well, that's our shots of the decade so far. What I will say is you said to me right before we started that you had something you wanted to run past me.
Yeah, I was going to see...
Live reaction or something?
I have 2 things that I would like to ask because I don't know. We haven't talked about this at all. Number 1, did you see the Snow White trailer?
No, I didn't.
Okay. We can talk about it next week.
Mark Webb, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Interesting.
It was a trailer, but we could talk about that once you've seen it later on. This one was more interesting to me. I'm going to pull up the article real quick, so I'm going to grab my phone.
I know that Snow White also has Rachel Zegler, so that's a nice segue.
Yeah, Rachel Zegler.
I wish I'd watched it.
So there has been an interview with Barry Jenkins that came out this week.
Oh.
And he says, all virtual filmmaking is not my thing after directing Mufasa, and said that he's not interested in doing that again.
Fair.
So that's the beginning of it. And then also he got a bunch of notes from the studio basically telling him that his shots were taking too long and they were too slow.
Are they making this film for ADHD TikTok children?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what they want.
That's what they want. And I've been saying this the whole time. I actually had this conversation with a coworker recently. It's that like Mufasa, I think it's a cash grab entirely on Disney's front. But the fact that they chose Barry Jenkins to direct it is interesting because he's not going to approach it like that at all.
Yeah.
Knowing his body of work. And I think that there's going to be a nuance that he brings out inside of it. But specifically the argument that my coworker brought up was like, I don't want to support the film because it's basically saying that Scar was right the whole time.
Well,
and it's like, maybe, but maybe not. Maybe something happens in the film that we don't know about.
Right. It's also like a thing. It's to me, it was interesting just because it's like, clearly they don't want him to make his film. They didn't want him to make a Barry Jenkins film.
Right.
They were more interested in making, a cash grab sequel of some sort that like would appeal to, a wide audience. Which I'm going to say this because we are both innocent of this. I blame you, all of you, who did not go see If Beale Street Could Talk.
That's true.
It's your fault.
That's a pretty good movie. I actually liked that one more than Moonlight.
It was a really good movie.
Yeah.
And nobody went and saw it, and like we haven't really seen.
Are you
Barry
saying that we're
Jenkins
no
since.
one?
Yeah,
That was one of the first times we actually hung out.
that's true. It was one of
Yeah.
we went and watched If Beale Street Could Talk together. But yeah, the people who didn't go see it, I'm blaming you for this.
Yeah.
If this movie is absolute trash, I'm blaming you. You should have went and seen the movie.
It's not too late for you to see the movie, though, and I actually highly recommend that you do.
Yeah.
Will that affect this one? Absolutely not.
Yeah. No.
But, what I'm kind of hoping is that it doesn't bomb. We have people that go see it, and then Jenkins gets his money and can go make something that he wants to make.
Which I think that was the intent the entire time.
Right. I just think that, he probably got more burnout on studio stuff than he was intending to during the process.
I just thought it was really interesting that that's come out now, like a month before the film opens.
I really need to see the Underground Railroad while
Yeah,
we're
I need to
talking
do
about
that
him.
too.
Because I've been hearing great things about it, and I have enjoyed. I guess I've only seen 2 of his films. Does he have a third one?
He does. I can't remember what it's called though.
Okay.
I think he does at least. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
But no, he's such, he's one of the best filmmakers that we have, and he hasn't been able to make as much as he should have in this time period.
Yeah.
So to hear that he had a bad experience on Mufasa, maybe not bad, but he didn't have as good of an experience as he probably was hoping for, is a little bit disheartening, especially, when we're going to have to go see the movie here in a month.
Yeah. Well,
So,
and that's the thing too, is that I have probably an L-take opinion on the Lion King by Jon Favreau. I actually really like the movie, and most people seemingly don't. For me, The Lion King was one of the few Disney movies that my family did not have on VHS, and so I never saw it. And the first time I saw The Lion King was when you and I went and watched the Lion King remake. And so that was my introduction to the story, and I loved it. And I went and saw it 5 times.
which is crazy.
Still, I think either that one or Oppenheimer is the film that I've gone to see the most, but I'm pretty sure it's still The Lion King. And I want to keep it that way because, I don't know. I had such a good time. And then I went back and I watched the original movie, and I'm like, wow, that's a bit shorter. And also, the animation's better. But I don't really see why there was so much hate. The new one is it is the same movie, and I get that, but it brought more people into The Lion King, and it's such a good story.
Yeah,
So,
I agree.
I don't know. I think you should be able to like The Lion King remake. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
But I've been mixed on my feelings about the Mufasa movie this entire time because I don't know how it'll be.
Yeah. No, I'm excited.
Yeah. I'm always excited when there's Barry Jenkins, but come on.
I'm excited, but the
Is it
excitement
Jenkins
is
or Jenkins?
Barry Jenkins. I think.
I've been saying Jenkins this entire time. I feel bad
I'm sure
about
it's
it.
okay.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Barry.
So,
Well, what have you been watching? That's the real question.
I have not watched much this week. We're in finals, so
Finals, and I've been shirking off those finals to play The Legend of Zelda.
yeah. So I didn't watch too much, but I did watch A Trip to the Moon.
How was that?
From 1902.
Oh, never mind. I know how that is.
Yeah. I mentioned we were scrolling I was sitting with my family after Thanksgiving. Everybody had left, and we were just sitting there, and I was like, I had to watch this in a couple of classes, and they were like, "What is it?" And I looked at it, and they were like, let's just watch it. And I was like, okay, it's 19 minutes or whatever. It's always a good time, It's interesting to see it, and I think they had a good they enjoyed it for what the kind of history of it.
Did you watch the color version?
Yes,
Okay.
the one the one that they found in the 90s.
Yeah, that's the one I've seen.
So that was cool to get to show a little bit of film history to my family. That was interesting, and they didn't seem to hate it, so that's cool. And then I watched Nightmare Alley, which I loved. I gave it 4.5 stars this time. Guillermo del Toro just doesn't seem to miss for me for the most part. Then I watched 3 Sean Anders movies. And one of them I enjoy slightly, and the other 2 are awful. But I watched Instant Family, which stars Mark Wahlberg and Rose Byrne.
That's a sweet movie.
It's sweet.
Yeah.
The other 2 movies I'm going to talk about, they do not benefit in the way that Instant Family does. Because Instant Family, at the heart of it, it has you can feel it's genuine.
Yeah.
And I think it is because it is very personal story to him. Whereas Daddy's Home 1 and 2 are incredibly hard watches.
I like Daddy's Home too. I've never seen Daddy's Home.
So funny enough, I have the first film I rate a 1.5 stars,
okay.
and I rate Daddy's Home 2 2 stars.
I think Daddy's Home 2 was funny. Like really liked the ending where they all start singing at the theater.
I don't like that part.
It's awesome. Feed the world, guys.
As much as as big as a scumbag as he is, like there are some really funny Mel Gibson moments. John Lithgow is also very funny. He brings those two bring enough to this movie that makes it way more interesting than the first one. And then the last thing I watched was Jon Wass' Hairspray, which is the film that the musical was based on. I had never seen it.
Right, because it's a film from the 80s.
Yes.
So interesting story.
Yeah.
So when Hairspray came out, it was Zac Efron in Hairspray?
Yes.
Okay, the remake of Hairspray that is based on the musical. So that was coming out, and then I was with my family at the library, and we used to rent DVDs from there, and they had Hairspray, and I was like, oh my God, I've been wanting to see this. Obviously, 8-year-old me not knowing the difference brings it forth, and then brought it home, and we were all confused as to why it was not a musical, and yeah, I did not have a good time with it, and I've still not seen the musical.
Okay, so interestingly, I was probably about the same age, maybe a little bit older. We got this DVD for Christmas one year, and it became like a regular watch for our family. Like we had it in our car.
Interesting.
And we watched this movie like regularly. All of my siblings, I would bet, could still to this day sing every word to every song in Hairspray.
Wow.
We also, and because we loved the movie so much, we got the soundtrack on CD.
Nice.
Like this was a weird thing in our family. Like Hairspray became like a crazy thing. In fact, I have a video on my phone of Mason randomly singing Hairspray a few years ago, like 2 or 3 years, maybe 4 years ago, while he's playing video games. He's just singing Hairspray.
That's awesome.
Out of nowhere. So, no, Hairspray is one of my favorites, but I had never seen the Jon Wass version, and it's really good.
Yeah, I think I'd like it now, but as a kid, I was like, where's the music?
Well, Jon Wass, there's no music.
I know.
Oh, that's the one you saw, is what you were saying. Okay, yeah.
We rented the original, not knowing it was the original.
Yeah, okay.
And that's why I didn't like it.
Sorry, I misunderstood. I misunderstood what you were saying.
I'd only seen the original film. But as a
you.
kid, when you're looking for music and Zac Efron, and you don't get it, you're upset.
No, that's totally fair.
Yeah.
But I highly recommend it. It's definitely a trip for sure. And it is interesting to look back at Jon Wass and his films in that era and how this one kind of fits, because it doesn't have kind of what I would describe as like a dirtiness that some of his other stuff has, like a Pink Flamingos, which is like kind of gross in what they do. I don't want to talk about it too much here and spoil the movie. I think if you want to watch Pink Flamingos, I would recommend it, but I also be warned, it is gross. But it is also incredibly funny. So, be warned with, I guess, any kind of Jon Wass films, to be warned. It's going to be funny, but it's also has the potential to, be a little out there for sure.
Yeah.
But that's all I've seen this week.
Well, yeah, like I said, I've been playing Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild a lot. In fact, Landon's phone is propped up on my Switch case right now because it's a whole thing. But I finished it. I beat Ganon. I'm not done with all the quests. I got kind of sad because I was like, oh, the Bow of Light. And then apparently you can't use the Bow of Light in the rest of the game, only when you're fighting Ganon. And you can never explore the castle without Ganon, which is dumb. So I tried to start playing Tears of the Kingdom, and I got sad. So I switched back to Super Mario Odyssey, and that is my sadness. It's really not a problem at all. I'm still enjoying the Switch. But for films, I watched the animated film Klaus on Netflix.
Oh, yeah. How is that?
It was fine.
Okay.
I don't really remember much of it. It was just it was on. Moana, which is the first time I've ever seen it.
I enjoy Moana.
Moana was good. I really liked the soundtrack. Couldn't recall any words right now, but it was good. I watched it on Thanksgiving. And then on Black Friday, my sister was out and my mom was like, can we watch a Christmas movie? And I said yes, but on my own terms. And I was like, have you ever seen Die Hard? So I finally got my mom to watch Die Hard after all these years, and she didn't like it.
Fair.
She said it was too much and that she preferred Lethal Weapon, to which I was like, I feel like that movie's also too much and you're just forgetting.
That's probably true.
But
I mean, I like Die Hard, but I'm also like, it's fine.
yeah. Like, Die Hard's a 4 out of 5. Like, it's a fun time. There's a lot of great quotes, but it's not like a lot of people think of it as a perfect movie. It's not. No. It has its issues. I think that Die Hard 2 is also pretty good.
I like Die Hard with a Vengeance as well. I think a couple of them are fun.
I'm not big on Die Hard with a Vengeance, but Die Harder, that's a movie. And then I watched Hot Frosty.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Because that guy was in Justin Milligan, is that his name?
I don't know.
Whatever his name is.
I have no
Hot
interest
Frosty
in this.
was in Operation Taco Gary as the main character. So I was like, I gotta support my man. Hot Frosty, I had the same issues with it I had with Poor Things, which if you know what those are, that's kind of a funny review. And then
I'm not even gonna.
I haven't watched anything since Hot Frosty.
Wow.
That's where it ends. And I think I'm going to like leave my Letterboxd for the rest of the year, so it just ends with Hot Frosty.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna. I'll probably watch quite a bit more. No. Like as soon as the semester's over, my Letterboxd is gonna like.
I think I'm going to delve into Super Mario Wonder once I finish Odyssey. I'm so close because last night we were on Discord. I didn't tell you this. I made it to Bowser's Castle.
Oh,
so like I only have like a little bit left in Mario Odyssey. But I was in the castle the whole time we were playing. Nice. Anyways, so yeah, that's what we've been watching and playing.
Yeah.
It's been Thanksgiving time, and now it's. I don't want to say Christmas time. I guess holidays is fine. It's Advent. We're leading up to Christmas. It's great. So thank you all for being a part. As always, you can follow us at TIWWWM Pod. On both TikTok, Instagram, Threads, and Twitter.
Yeah.
The Twitter's probably the least active. The TikTok is the most active. Instagram and Threads is kind of somewhere in between.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before we go, speaking of social media, you went viral.
Oh yeah, a little bit. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, like maybe not crazy, but like for us, it's pretty huge. I got 105,000 views on a video reacting to Michigan beating Ohio State.
Yeah.
Which go blue. If everybody, most people know.
This man disrespects the Ohio State University.
Okay.
I don't really care. I just like to annoy him.
Legitimately might be my last episode.
Why? Because I mentioned the Ohio State University.
Okay. Anyway, 13-10. Ryan Day can't beat us. Keep him as long as you want. Ohio State would not hurt my feelings. So, yeah, I did go a little viral. That was pretty cool. But, yeah, thank you. All right. Bye.